Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom learning how to speak through calm. Sometimes focusing on yourself isn't selfish. It's sacred. You see, not every battle needs your words. Some victories bloom in silence. When you stop explaining yourself, you start evolving yourself. And when you stop chasing noise, you start hearing your power. My dear, focus on your path so deeply that their opinions lose direction. Stay silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because not everyone deserves to hear your becoming. Focus is freedom, not the kind of freedom that comes with unlocked doors or open fields, but the one that happens inside your soul when your energy stops scattering everywhere and starts flowing in one clear direction. Most people spend their lives chasing noise, running after validation, attention, and approval, and they call it living, but in truth, they are only running in circles. Focus breaks that circle. Focus says, no more chasing, I choose my path. Because when you focus, you reclaim your time, your peace, and your power. Think of your mind as sunlight. When scattered, it warms the room a little, but when concentrated, it burns through steel. That's the difference between people who wander and people who build. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. You don't need 1,000 goals. You need one purpose that wakes you up with fire in your eyes. Every morning, the world will try to steal your attention. Notifications, opinions, comparison, all screaming louder than your own thoughts. And yet, true success begins the moment you mute that noise and listen to your own voice. That voice that says, this is who I am. This is what I was born to do. You see, peace isn't found in escaping life. It's found in focusing on the right things in life. Look at a river. It doesn't rush in every direction. It finds one path, one flow, and carves mountains through patience and persistence. That's the magic of focus. You don't need to move fast. You just need to move with direction. When you focus, you start to see how much of your life you were wasting on people and things that never deserved your time. The gossip, the arguments, the approval seeking. They vanish when you realize your energy is precious. In daily life, focus might look simple. Choosing to work on your dream instead of scrolling endlessly. Choosing silence over gossip. Choosing growth over comfort. But these small choices are what free you from the chains of distraction. Remember this, every time you say yes to something meaningless, you're saying no to your destiny. A student once told me, I can't focus on my goals, there's too much happening around me. And I said, that's exactly why you must focus. Because if you don't master your focus, the world will master you. Distractions will disguise themselves as entertainment. People will waste your hours, and before you know it, your dreams will be waiting in the dark, wondering when you'll return to them. In relationships, focus teaches you self-worth. Stop focusing on people who don't match your effort, who drain your energy, who make you question your value. Redirect that focus inward. Build yourself, love yourself, become the kind of person that peace falls in love with. The moment you stop focusing on who doesn't care, you make space for everything that truly does. In your career, focus is the silent engine behind every great success. Think of the writer who shuts off the world to fill a blank page with truth. Think of the athlete who wakes before dawn while others sleep. Chasing not fame, but mastery. Greatness doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from ruthless focus, from saying, I will not stop until I become everything I was meant to be. And in your healing, focus is the key to transformation. When you've been broken, the world tells you to move on quickly, to smile before the wound has closed. But healing takes focus. It means saying, I choose to feel, to forgive, to let go. When you focus on your inner growth, your scars turn into wisdom, and your pain becomes your power. You may lose people when you focus. Friends who don't understand, crowds who call you distant, voices who say you've changed. But understand this, they were never meant to walk the path that requires silence, discipline, and clarity. Focus will isolate you before it elevates you. It will test your patience before it rewards your persistence. But when that reward comes, it will taste like freedom, the kind that can't be taken, only earned. Remember those days when you tried to do everything and ended up exhausted? That's because your energy was divided. You cannot pour into 1,000 cups and expect your soul to stay full. When you focus, you learn the power of no. You stop chasing everything and start attracting what's meant for you. You become deliberate, intentional, unstoppable. Imagine a camera lens. When it's unfocused, everything looks blurry. But when it sharpens on one subject, the picture becomes clear, vibrant, alive. That's life too. You can't see your purpose clearly until you choose what truly deserves your gaze. The moment you do, everything else fades into the background. Focus is freedom because it cuts away the unnecessary. It frees you from comparison, from judgment, from chaos. It gives you back control of your story. You stop being reactive and start being creative. You stop explaining yourself and start expressing yourself. So in the noise of every day, remind yourself not everything deserves your energy. Don't waste your light proving your worth to people who live in shadows. Focus on your craft. Focus on your peace. Focus on your purpose. Because when your energy meets direction, even mountains move out of your way. And when you learn to live with focus, you stop just existing. You start becoming not what the world wants, but what your soul was always meant to be. Silence is strength, the kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't argue, doesn't beg to be understood. It's the power that rises when you've learned that not everything needs a response, not every insult needs defense, and not every battle deserves your sword. Silence isn't the absence of words. It's the presence of wisdom. It's the mark of a soul that no longer seeks to prove, but to preserve. Because when you reach a place where peace means more than proving a point, you've already won the war. In daily life, silence is the calm you hold when someone tries to provoke you, waiting to see you react. It's that quiet smile you wear when gossip circles your name, but you know your truth is louder than their lies. When you remain still, when you refuse to feed chaos, you show the world a kind of maturity that noise can never reach. Remember this, storms look powerful because they're loud, but it's the calm sea that reflects the sky. Think of those moments when someone disrespected you, expected a reaction, waited for your anger to validate their ego, but you stayed calm. That calmness wasn't weakness, it was power, because silence denies drama its oxygen. You see, arguments are invitations, and your silence is a graceful decline. When you don't respond, you tell them, you don't deserve access to my energy. That's strength. That's control. In relationships, silence is a mirror. It shows who truly values you. When you stop explaining, stop pleading, stop chasing. Watch who notices your absence, who respects your quiet, and who fills it with care. Some people only understand your worth when your voice is gone. Silence makes them realize what they took for granted. It's not punishment, it's revelation. You don't have to shout your pain to be heard. Sometimes your silence screams louder than words ever could. In moments of heartbreak, silence becomes your healing space. The world may tell you to move on quickly, distract yourself, talk it out, but there is power in sitting quietly with your pain, because in that silence, you hear truth. You hear where you went wrong, where you gave too much, where you forgot yourself, and as you listen, you begin to rise, you begin to rebuild, not with noise, but with understanding. The most powerful recoveries are the quiet ones, the kind where you disappear, grow, and come back unrecognizable. In the workplace, silence speaks volumes. When chaos surrounds you, office politics, unnecessary debates, constant competition, learn to stay composed. Don't announce your plans, move in silence, and let your work echo. The loudest person in the room often seeks validation. The quiet one seeks mastery. Success doesn't come to those who talk about their dreams. It comes to those who silently chase them while others are distracted by conversation. Silence in this world of noise is your competitive edge. Even in spiritual growth, silence is sacred. It's the space where your soul breathes, where you meet yourself again. Close your eyes, detach from the noise of life, and listen. There is guidance in stillness. Every answer you've been searching for outside of you has been whispering within. You can't hear it when you're too busy talking, posting, arguing, or comparing. Silence is where God speaks, where peace begins, where strength is reborn. Daily life is filled with situations where silence saves you. When you're angry and want to respond instantly, stay silent. When you're misunderstood and want to defend yourself, stay silent. When you feel disrespected and words would only worsen the wound, stay silent. Silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care more about your peace than their opinion. You must learn to protect your energy from battles that don't build you. Silence also reveals who you truly are when everything falls apart. When you're alone, when no one is clapping, that's when you meet your strength. The absence of noise shows you what still stands inside you. You'll discover that you don't need constant attention, validation, or noise to feel alive. You become complete in your own calm. That's the kind of strength that no one can take away. There's a beauty in moving silently. You work in private, heal in private, grow in private, and one day you arrive in public as the storm they didn't see coming. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. Because silence builds a kind of confidence that doesn't require attention. It's knowing you're powerful enough not to announce it. Think of the eagle. It doesn't fight with crows that try to peck at it. It simply flies higher to altitudes where the crows cannot breathe. That's silence. That's strength. You rise so high above the noise that it can't reach you anymore. Some people want you to argue so they can feel equal, but silence denies them that satisfaction. You win by not participating. There's also emotional strength in silence. When you choose to forgive without confrontation, when you decide to walk away instead of seeking revenge, when you heal quietly instead of announcing your pain, you grow beyond the limits of others' understanding. Because silence is not suppression, it's transformation. It's saying, I choose my peace over proving my pain. Even in love, silence is grace. When you stop chasing people who don't listen, you make room for the ones who do. When you stop explaining your worth, you attract those who already see it. Silence teaches you to stop forcing connections that drain you, because when you love yourself enough to walk away quietly, you attract peace that doesn't require noise to stay. And sometimes silence is your greatest response to injustice, not because you accept it, but because you're choosing to act wisely, not emotionally. Your silence becomes your strategy. It confuses those who expect your weakness. They don't know that while you're quiet, you're preparing, learning, becoming stronger. Silence doesn't mean surrender, it means you're mastering timing. And when you finally speak, the world listens. So in every part of life, remember this truth. Silence is not emptiness. It's your hidden power, your invisible armor, your sacred space where your strength gathers before it strikes. When you learn to stay calm in chaos, to hold your peace when others lose theirs, to listen more than you speak. You're not being passive, you're being powerful. Silence doesn't make you small, it makes you untouchable. Your energy is sacred. It's the invisible currency that decides the quality of your life. Where it flows, everything grows. Where it drains, everything dies. Most people don't understand how precious their energy truly is. They give it away too easily, to drama, to overthinking, to people who take and never return. But once you realize your energy is sacred, you stop allowing everyone to touch it. You begin to guard it like something holy, because it is your peace, your focus, your light. They are the foundation of your power. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of energy, like a battery charged overnight. The first few moments of your morning decide how fast that battery drains. The scroll on your phone, the unnecessary conversations, the constant comparison, they drain you before the day even begins. But when you rise with intention, breathe, and choose calm, your energy aligns with purpose. You move with strength instead of struggle. Protecting your energy starts with choosing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. In daily life, you'll meet people who feed your energy and people who feed on it. Some will inspire you, others will exhaust you. The difference lies in how they make your soul feel after the conversation ends. Ever notice how you feel light and full of hope after talking to some people, but drained and doubtful after others? That's your energy speaking. Learn to listen to it. Not everyone deserves access to your mind, your emotions, or your time. You can love people from afar and still protect your peace. Your energy is also sacred because it creates your reality. When you walk into a room filled with calm, you change its atmosphere without saying a word. When you carry anger, bitterness, or anxiety, that's the vibration you send into the world. You attract what you radiate. So when you protect your energy, you're not being selfish. You're being responsible. You're saying, I won't let my peace become collateral for someone else's chaos. You are the guardian of your inner world, and the world outside responds to the energy you cultivate within. Think about a phone. You wouldn't let everyone plug into it and drain your battery, yet every time you argue unnecessarily, dwell on past mistakes, or involve yourself in gossip, you're doing exactly that to your soul. You're letting low frequency emotions eat away at your spiritual charge. The strongest people aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones who know when to disconnect, recharge, and return stronger. Protecting your energy doesn't mean avoiding people. It means being wise about who you share your space with in relationships. This lesson becomes even deeper. There are people who love your light but can't handle your shine. They'll take your kindness and use it until you're empty. They'll depend on your empathy but never return your care. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse emotional exhaustion with loyalty. Protecting your energy means setting boundaries. And boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They keep love in and chaos out. When someone constantly drains you, it's not your job to save them, it's your duty to save yourself. In the workplace, energy is everything. You can have talent, intelligence, and opportunity. But if your energy is scattered, your success will be too. Focused energy is magnetic. It draws results effortlessly. But when you let negativity, jealousy, or distractions invade your space, your performance suffers. Protecting your energy here means staying aligned with purpose, not gossip, not competition, not comparison. You don't need to match anyone's noise. You just need to maintain your frequency. The quiet worker with calm energy often accomplishes more than the loud one seeking attention. Even in your home, energy matters. The space you live in absorbs your emotions. Clutter, chaos, and constant noise drain your energy. A peaceful environment feeds it. Lighting a candle, cleaning your space, playing soft music, these small actions recalibrate your energy field. Energy protection is not just spiritual, it's practical. When your surroundings reflect peace, your mind mirrors it too. When you are on a journey of healing, energy protection becomes survival. People might not understand why you're quieter now, why you don't attend every gathering, why you prefer solitude. But healing requires isolation. It requires conserving your energy for yourself instead of wasting it on temporary distractions. When you heal, you'll notice your tolerance for chaos decreases. That's growth. You begin to value peace more than attention, calm more than conversation, and solitude more than company that drains you. Your energy is sacred because it's the foundation of manifestation. Whatever you think about consistently, whatever emotions you nurture, you feed energy into it. That's why gratitude transforms lives. When you focus on what you already have, your energy tells the universe, I am ready for more. And when you complain, compare, or live in fear, you block your blessings before they arrive. Protecting your energy means aligning your thoughts with faith, not fear. It means knowing that not every thought deserves belief, and not every emotion deserves attention. One of the greatest examples of sacred energy is found in nature. Look at the sun. It shines every day, but it never lowers itself to prove its brightness. Some days clouds cover it, but it still radiates behind them. That's how your energy should be. Unshaken, consistent, sacred. You don't need to convince anyone of your light. You just need to keep shining. Because no matter who walks away, no matter who misunderstands you, your energy remains your own, pure, powerful, divine. Protect your energy like you protect your dreams. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, your thoughts, or your time. Every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every person you spend time with, all of it is an exchange of energy. So choose wisely. You can rebuild money, success, and relationships. But once your energy is gone, nothing feels right. You deserve to feel light, not drained. Peaceful, not pressured, free, not fatigued. That is why your energy is sacred, because it is the purest form of your life force, the breath of your soul, the rhythm of your strength, and the fire behind your purpose. Growth requires isolation, not the kind of isolation that feels lonely, but the one that transforms you quietly while no one is watching. Every season of real growth begins with separation. from noise, from people who no longer align, from versions of yourself that you've outgrown. The world glorifies being surrounded, being seen, being loud. But the truth is, the strongest roots grow underground. The flower blooms in silence before it's ever noticed by the world. That's what isolation does. It makes you strong in secret. When you step into a season of isolation, at first it feels painful. The phone stops ringing. The people you thought would stay disappear. The conversations that once filled your time now feel meaningless. You start to wonder if you're being forgotten. But you're not being forgotten. You're being refined. The universe removes distractions not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because when you're surrounded by noise, you can't hear your own calling. Isolation isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's life saying, and you need to be alone right now. Because your next level can't be built on old energy. In daily life, you'll see this everywhere. The student who isolates to study while everyone else parties, that's growth. The artist who spends late nights painting, creating, dreaming, that's growth. The woman who walks away from fake friends to find her purpose, that's growth. The man who chooses to heal his trauma in silence instead of masking his pain, that's growth. Growth doesn't need an audience. It needs attention. It needs focus. It needs you to be present with yourself long enough to meet the person you're becoming. Isolation teaches you what distractions have been hiding from you. You start noticing your habits, your thoughts, your triggers. You realize how much time you were giving to things that didn't serve your peace. You see that some people only liked you when you were available, not when you were evolving. You begin to understand that not everyone is meant to grow with you. Some are meant to teach you, test you, and then leave you. And when they do, it hurts, but it also clears space for your higher self to rise. During isolation, your spirit becomes sharper. You begin to rely on yourself in ways you never did before. You start finding beauty in silence, strength in solitude, and power in patience. When there's no one to clap for you, you learn to clap for yourself. When there's no one to guide you, you learn to trust your intuition. When there's no one to listen, you learn to hear your own soul. That's the magic of isolation. It strips away the noise until all that remains is truth. Think about a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it goes into a cocoon. Dark, quiet, isolated. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is happening. But inside, everything is changing. The caterpillar's old body dissolves. Its wings form. Its shape transforms. If you open the cocoon too early, you destroy the process. The same is true for you. You can't rush transformation. Isolation may feel uncomfortable, but it's creating wings you can't see yet. In relationships, isolation teaches emotional independence. You stop depending on others for validation. You stop chasing those who don't match your frequency. You stop explaining your growth to those who don't understand your silence. You learn that you are enough. Without constant attention, without approval, without company, isolation reminds you that you were whole before anyone ever entered your life. It teaches you to love your own presence so deeply that loneliness becomes peace. In your career, isolation separates the average from the exceptional, those who dare to step away from the crowd, to focus, to learn, to fail privately. They're the ones who eventually rise publicly. Success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in quiet rooms where nobody claps, where every ounce of effort goes unseen. That's where greatness grows. You must be willing to be unseen for a while, to be misunderstood, to walk alone, because the path to mastery is never crowded. Isolation also reveals who truly belongs in your life. When you pull back your energy, you'll see who checks on you, who respects your space, and who fades away, because your silence no longer feeds their ego. It's not bitterness, it's awareness. Isolation cleans your circle. It teaches you to stop chasing temporary people and start building permanent peace. Even spiritually, isolation is sacred. When you're alone, that's when you truly meet the divine, not in the chaos of the world, but in the stillness of your soul. In solitude, you start hearing that gentle whisper guiding you. This is the path. This is your purpose. Keep going. You realize that everything you were searching for in others, peace, clarity, direction, has been inside you all along. You were just too distracted, to notice. Daily life constantly pushes you to stay connected, to be available, to never slow down. But growth whispers and then step back. Men ask us for space, for stillness, for surrender, because only in silence can you hear the lessons you've been avoiding. Only in stillness can you heal what's been hurting, and only in isolation can you transform what's been holding you back. The truth is, isolation doesn't take things from you. It reveals what was never truly yours. It removes the unnecessary so you can rebuild with purpose. It empties your hands so they're ready to receive what's meant for you. You'll look back one day and realize that the seasons where you felt most alone were actually the ones where you were being shaped the most. Growth requires isolation because evolution needs privacy. It's in those quiet, unseen moments that your strength sharpens, your purpose awakens, and your spirit prepares to shine in ways it never has before. Don't explain, evolve. The world will always misunderstand what it can't measure, and most people only see you from the version you've outgrown. When you start changing, they'll ask questions, they'll doubt, they'll whisper, because they can see the inner battles you fought or the nights you've spent rebuilding yourself in silence. But growth was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be lived. You don't need to convince anyone of your transformation. You just need to keep becoming, because while they're busy trying to figure you out, you're already becoming someone they'll never recognize. Explaining yourself to people who have already decided who you are is like trying to describe color to someone who refuses to open their eyes. No matter how you try, they'll only see what they choose to see. So stop exhausting yourself trying to make them understand your choices, your silence, your distance. You owe no one an explanation for choosing peace over chaos, for walking away from drama, for protecting your energy, or for demanding better. The moment you stop explaining, you free yourself from the prison of their opinions. You stop living for their comfort and start living for your purpose. In daily life, this truth appears again and again. You stop answering texts not because you're rude, but because your peace matters more than small talk. You decline invitations not because you're arrogant, but because you're focused on healing. You outgrow certain conversations, not because you think you're better, but because your soul is craving depth. But still, people will ask, what happened to you? And your silence will confuse them. Let it. You don't owe them your process. You don't owe them access to your evolution. Growth doesn't require a press release. It requires persistence. The most powerful transformations happen quietly. The student who once failed decides to study harder instead of explaining his potential. The woman who was underestimated builds herself in silence until her success becomes undeniable. The man who was mocked for dreaming too big keeps working behind closed doors until the results speak louder than every word ever could. You see, explanation invites judgment, evolution commands respect. The moment you stop talking about it and start living it, your results become the only conversation that matters. When you evolve, people who once understood you will say you've changed, and they'll be right. You cannot grow and stay the same. But the danger lies in trying to explain your evolution to those who benefited from your stagnation. Some people only loved you when you were small, predictable, and available. The moment you set boundaries, they'll call you selfish. The moment you choose peace, they'll call you distant. The moment you prioritize growth, they'll call you different. But different is good. Different is the proof that you've stopped conforming to what kept you limited. In relationships, don't explain your standards, evolve your behavior. When someone mistreats you, your silence will speak louder than any explanation. When you stop returning calls, when you stop chasing love that's inconsistent, when you stop accepting apologies without change, that's evolution. You don't need to tell them why. Your absence will teach them what your words never could. People don't learn from what you explain. They learn from what you enforce. In career or business, the same rule applies. You don't need to justify your ambition to those who settle for average. You don't need to explain your work ethic, your long nights, your quiet grind. Let your results speak. Let your transformation unfold in front of them. The most successful people rarely announce their moves. They make them because talking wastes energy that could be used for creating. The seed doesn't explain its process to the soil. It simply breaks open, grows roots, and rises toward the sun. There's also a spiritual side to not explaining. Every time you evolve, your frequency changes. You start feeling disconnected from old patterns, old friends, old desires. You begin craving solitude, deeper conversations, higher purposes, and the world will not understand this hunger. They'll label it isolation or arrogance. But in truth, it's alignment. You are shedding the skin of who you were to make space for who you're meant to be. Don't try to explain your awakening to those who are still asleep. Let them rest. You have worlds to build. When you stop explaining, you also stop seeking validation. You realize that your worth isn't up for debate. You don't need applause to know you're progressing. You don't need permission to change direction. You start living by conviction, not approval. Every time you take a step forward, every time you forgive yourself, every time you say no, that's evolution. You're not the same person you were a year ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. Growth isn't always visible to others, but it's always felt within. Think of a volcano. For years, it looks calm on the surface, but underneath, transformation is happening. Quietly, powerfully, invisibly. Then one day it erupts, and the world finally notices. That's what evolution feels like. You're building strength in silence. And one day, your breakthrough will be impossible to ignore. People will ask how you did it, and you'll smile, because they never saw the years of explaining less and becoming more. In friendships, you'll notice this too. When you stop entertaining gossip, when you stop complaining, when you start focusing on growth, the same people who once surrounded you will drift away. Don't chase them. That's evolution separating you from energy that can't go where you're headed. Not everyone is meant to understand your next level, and not everyone has the vision to see your transformation before it's complete. Don't explain your healing either. You're allowed to outgrow the pain that made you strong. You're allowed to stop repeating stories that once defined you. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means no longer needing to prove you've survived. You don't need to tell the world why you forgive, why you moved on, or why you're softer now. You've learned that peace is personal, and some lessons don't need to be spoken. They need to be lived. Every time you choose silence over argument, growth over comfort, and self-respect over validation, you evolve. And every time you evolve, someone will demand an explanation. Smile and give them none. Because evolution is proof that you've learned the art of walking away from the need to be understood. You are no longer trying to fit into the version of life that once confined you. You're breaking patterns, building peace, and becoming whole. You don't need to announce that. You just need to keep becoming. There comes a time in your journey when silence becomes your roar and peace becomes your revenge. You reach a stage where you no longer seek to be understood. You seek to be aligned. You stop explaining because you've realized that those who truly see you dawn need words, and those who don't will twist every syllable you speak. You begin to walk with quiet power, the kind that doesn't shout for attention but demands respect. That is evolution, when you no longer need to announce that you've changed because your aura already speaks it. The truth is, the most powerful version of you is the one that no longer explains, argues, or justifies. You don't chase closure, you create it. You don't beg for validation, you breathe confidence. You don't prove your worth, you embody it. You stop explaining why you distance yourself, why you move differently, why you're no longer available for every invitation or every emotion. Because the higher you rise, the quieter it becomes. Not because there's less noise, but because you've learned to tune it out. Every person who ever doubted you, misunderstood you, or tried to define you will one day see what silence was building. And when that day comes, you won't need to say, "I told you so." Your growth will say it for you. Your peace will say it for you. Your success will say it for you. Remember, explanations fade, but evolution echoes. You don't owe anyone your process. You owe yourself your progress. In life, you'll outgrow many things. Conversations, habits, people, even versions of yourself. Don't explain it, evolve through it. Let your silence make them curious and your transformation make them believers. You're not here to prove your light, you're here to shine it. You're not here to convince them of your purpose, you're here to fulfill it. You're not here to argue about your worth, you're here to live like it's non-negotiable. When people ask, "Why are you so quiet now?" tell them your peace got louder When they say you've changed, tell them I was supposed to. When they say you think you're better now, tell them no, I just think differently. You owe them nothing but your distance and your evolution. Because explaining yourself to small minds will only shrink your spirit. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves to understand your transformation. Every great transformation begins with separation. A butterfly doesn't send postcards from the cocoon explaining what's happening inside. It disappears, it struggles, it transforms, and then it flies. That's you. The cocoon may feel lonely, misunderstood, and silent, but that's where destiny works. The silence you're in now is not emptiness, it's construction. God is shaping you in the unseen, preparing you to emerge in strength and grace. There will be days when your growth feels isolating. There will be nights when you question if you're doing the right thing by walking alone. But listen, the crowd applauds the butterfly. No one praises the caterpillar. Keep evolving anyway. You are not meant to be understood by everyone. You are meant to be unstoppable by anything. So stop explaining, evolve. Let your discipline be the story. Let your results be the proof. And let your peace be the loudest sounds you make. The world doesn't need your explanations. It needs your example. Because the person who doesn't explain but evolves becomes a mirror of what's possible for others. And when they finally see you thriving, glowing, at peace, they'll realize what you knew all along. Evolution is louder than explanation. You are living proof that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. That disappearing was not giving up, it was gearing up. That solitude wasn't sadness, it was strategy. You've learned the rarest skill of all, to walk away without bitterness, to grow without announcement, and to shine without permission. You've learned to let your growth make the noise. So keep evolving, keep becoming, because someday soon the world will look at you and say, how did you do it? And you'll smile quietly, because they'll never understand the power of a soul that chose evolution over explanation.